Okay, everyone, let's grab a seat. It's officially 8:30 p.m. My name is Ron. I'm an alcoholic, and we'll take a second to make a couple of quick announcements. This church does a code blue in March, so if that happens, will happen, we'll be moved around from room to room depending on if the temperature drops below where they house homeless people. It's a noble cause. They do it every year. It's a very, very nice thing that they do for the community. That's one thing to touch on. We have a running commitment every Sunday night, Quakertown. If you're interested in that, see us after the meeting. This group, this and its sister group, just donated over $3,000 to GSO New York. Thanks to your donation support and things, we're carrying this message, and I believe we're up to like 1,200 big books in the last 2-3 years that we purchased and gave away at treatment centers to people who are sick and suffering, and carrying that message to them. So this whole group's about service, and if you're about that, see us after the meeting if you'd like to get involved and do some of that stuff. And with that, anyway, there's probably a ton of other things I forgot to talk about, but it's time to get the world's second best chairperson, or number one? Is it number one chairperson in the world, all the way from Canada, our dear Kara. Give her a warm welcome.
Good evening, y'all. Welcome home. My name is Kara, and I'm a grateful recovering alcoholic. Hello, everyone. Thank you for coming out tonight. This is a 1-hour speaker meeting that meets every Saturday evening at St. Paul's Lutheran Church, 301 North Main Street, Doylestown, Pennsylvania. Food and fellowship starts at 8 p.m. and speaker at 8:30 p.m. The business meeting for this group meets every Saturday at 7 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. right here. Please come early and join us. The purpose of this group is to provide a consistent message of hope and recovery through God, reliance, and service to others through the practice and teachings of the 12 steps. We record all speakers so that others may benefit from their message of recovery. If you wish not to be recorded, simply ask. This is an open meeting of Alcoholics Anonymous. The group would like to welcome everyone, especially newcomers. Is there anyone new from out of town that would like to introduce themselves with their first name? The Conscious Contact Speaker Group encourages sponsorship. Would anyone with a working knowledge of the 12 steps and the willing to sponsor, please raise your hands. Are there any announcements for the good of AA? Nick?
My name is Nick. I'm an alcoholic.
Hey, Nick.
And, we do have a Venmo, so during the second tradition, if anyone needs to make a donation that way, come see me, or there's a QR code on the table. Thank you.
Thank you, Nick. Our sister group is a big book study meeting that meets every Thursday at 7:30 p.m. just up the street at Salem UCC Church, 186 East Court Street, Doylestown. Coffee is on at 6:15. We have meeting lists and big books on easy terms. Please see me or any home group member after the meeting. If you cannot afford a big book, the Conscious Contact Speaker Group will give you one at no charge. Anyone willing to make donations for the purpose of big books and CDs to help those who cannot afford them can put donations in the jar on the table marked Big Book and CD donations. All CDs are available free of charge. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel, the Conscious Contact Speaker Group of Doylestown, Pennsylvania, and our Facebook group. Subscribe and share. You can find our speakers there. Join our Facebook page to keep informed and share upcoming events and meetings. Now I would like to introduce Brian. He's going to come up and read Just for Today, Prayer of Recovery. Let's give Brian a warm welcome.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Brian. I'm an alcoholic. Welcome to our Ice Storm Super Bowl edition of Conscious Contact. We're glad you're all here. This is going to be just for today, a prayer of recovery. Just for today, I will be agreeable. I will look as well as I can, dress becomingly, talk low, act courteously, criticize not one bit, not find fault with anything, and not try to improve or regulate anybody except for myself. And with that, I'm going to bring Matt up here. Matt's going to come up here and read our AA preamble.
Good evening, my name is Matt. I'm an alcoholic. Welcome home. All right, Alcoholics Anonymous is a fellowship of men and women who share their experience, strength, and hope with each other that they may solve their common problem and help others to recover from alcoholism. The only requirement for membership is a desire to stop drinking. There are no dues or fees for AA membership. We are self-supporting through our own contributions. AA is not allied with any sect, denomination, politics, organization, or institution. Does not wish to engage in any controversy. Neither endorses nor opposes any causes. Our primary purpose is to stay sober and help other alcoholics achieve sobriety. Oh, next we have Paige reading the 12 steps.
I'm Paige, grateful alcoholic. Here they are. The 12 steps of AA. 1, we admitted we were powerless over alcohol, that our lives had become unmanageable. 2, came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. 3, made a decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God as we understood Him. 4, made a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves. 5, admitted to God, to ourselves, and to another human being the exact nature of our wrongs. 6, were entirely ready to have God remove all these defects of character. 7, humbly asked Him to remove our shortcomings. 8, made a list of all persons we had harmed and became willing to make amends to them all. 9, made direct amends to such people wherever possible, except when to do so would injure them or others. 10, continued to take personal inventory, and when we were wrong, promptly admitted it. 11, sought through prayer and meditation to improve our conscious contact with God as we understood Him, praying only for knowledge of His will for us and the power to carry that out. 12, having had a spiritual awakening, as the result of these steps, we tried to carry this message to alcoholics and to practice these principles in all of our affairs.
Our 7th tradition states every AA group ought to be fully self-supporting, declining outside contributions. At this time, I would like to pass the basket. We have no dues or fees, but we have expenses. This group provides many services. Your donations cover food, rent, big book, CDs, events, workshops, etc. There is absolutely no smoking on church property. Please take a moment to silence all cell phones and limit movement during the meeting to avoid distractions. Now, I'd like to introduce the speaker as a good friend of the Conscious Contact Speaker Group. Let's give Stephanie Kay a warm welcome. She came all the way up from Quakertown. Woohoo!
What's going on, guys? I'm Steph, I'm an alcoholic. Super nervous. I hate speaking. It's like so funny because I talk so much. And like I've been told since I was like a young girl, like in like grade school, my report card always said all the way up till high school, like she distracts others, she talks too much, she doesn't know how to be quiet, she's a class clown, but like I hate speaking. Thank God it's like a small meeting tonight. But yeah, and at the end of the day, like I shared about this, I spoke one other time for an hour, ever. And before that meeting, I was like so nervous I wasn't gonna fill the hour. And what I just kept telling myself is like, if I can just like trust God, allow God to speak through me. And really, like it doesn't matter. As long as I can literally just help one person get like another day sober, like that's literally the only point in all of this. So yeah, so I mean, I'm gonna keep it simple. So what it was like, what happened, and where I'm at now. My like journey of sobriety and my journey with coming in and out of AA and my journey with like my relationship with God has been nothing but like a roller coaster. It's been up and down, up and down. So what I can say is that on Thursday, I celebrated a year sober. And that is the longest that I've ever had sober since I was like 14, 15 years old. That is the longest consistent, like, consecutive days in a row that I've had sober. So it is a huge deal. And like, I know to some people that have years and years of sobriety, it's like, okay, a year, whatever, but I really would hear people share at AA meetings saying they had a whole year, and I was just like, there's no way. Like, I'll never be able to have a year sober. And it really is a miracle. A year ago, sitting in a treatment facility, I did not think, walking into that rehab, until I had like a spiritual experience in there, I did not think that I was going to be still in AA a year later. So this is a direct result of God and God's grace, and I just want to make that really clear. So yeah, I mean, I hear someone share like often like that they're an alcoholic because they like to drink, and that's me. Like, I love to drink and I love to feel outside of myself, and that's why I'm an alcoholic. But I do believe that the things that I'm finding, or that I found through doing step work, are issues that I have dealt with since I can remember, like 10, 11 years old. Like the thoughts, the behaviors, the obsessions at a young age were always just, very distinctly different than others. And I don't think that I really actually realized it until my daughter just turned 11. So that's like that 10, 11 age, like, so raising her and just seeing her, how vastly different she was than I at that age, has really like opened my eyes to the fact that I really do think that I was born with this disease, and that I've always had it with me. So yeah, as a kid, like my first like obsession was definitely like food. And I bring that up because honestly, like I think it was like 4 or 5 months ago, I was with a girlfriend in Penn Foundation, and I was sharing about that, and I was nervous too, because it was like, I didn't know if I should bring that up, and believe it or not, it was like people at this rehab were like, oh my God, same, like I also dealt with that. So I bring it up because I think that's where it all started. Like I remember being like at sports practices, and like these kids like getting done practice and like just like going home, and it's like, and like being focused during practice, whereas like I was sitting there and I was just like, I cannot wait to go to the snack stand after practice, like, and obsessing about like what I was gonna get from there, and like watching movies and seeing like what people were eating in the movies and being like, dude, I need to eat that. Like Matilda, when she was like eating like the bowl of Cheerios, like I'll never forget, I was like, I need to have a bowl of Cheerios right now to watch Matilda, like, and it's just crazy. And that's like at a young age, that's grade school. And then into middle school, it turned into like men. And I really, really hated myself since middle school. Like I never looked in the mirror and loved what I saw. The idea, the way I talk to myself my whole life, and even still now, and it's a work in progress, has just always been so negative. No self-love, really just always wishing I was someone else. I lived in a different house, I had a different family, and I know that sounds awful because I love my family very much, that I looked different, was more athletic. I always was a victim too. Like I always felt like no one liked me. The teachers didn't like me. Other kids didn't like me because of the way I looked. And I would always try to overcompensate that with my personality. So I was always like, I have to be the funny kid, that kid that's overly social, because that's the only way I'm gonna get people to like me, is by like kind of forcing it upon them. So I mean, like if you guys are anything like me, like these are still things that I deal with sometimes, as an adult at 32 years old. And like I said, like comparing myself to my daughter, like I would get dropped off. She goes to this kids camp in Quakertown. It's the same camp that I went to as a kid. And I would literally cry and be like, Mom, I don't want to go. Like they bully me. I'm not athletic enough. The counselors hate me. My daughter's like, yeah, there's bullies at camp, but like take me. Like I don't care what they think about me. Like I'm fine. I have fun. Like we just think so differently. Like, getting done school, and in grade school, I remember if a friend was mad at me, I would obsess about that and how I could make it better, like late at night, not able to fall asleep at a young age. My daughter will come home with grade school drama and be like, their loss. Like, if they don't want to be my friend, oh well. Like, we're built differently. So yeah, that's just like, I believe that I was born with this self-evolved negative perception, selfishness, self-centeredness to the core, always thinking about me, comparing myself and judging others, and obsessing, like that obsession, but just, it wasn't quite on alcohol yet. So, you fast forward to like 14 smoking, 15, whatever, starting to dabble, and like, it got so progressive. Like by 17, I was like drinking before school. Like, I'll never forget sitting in history class, my junior year of high school, and like projectile vomiting in the middle of the classroom, and then like sending me to the nurse's office to get like my blood pressure taken to like see if I was like under the influence. And it was like by the grace of God that I was able to graduate high school. But what I found is that I don't remember the first drink I took. Like, I'd be lying to you. It baffles me that people can remember. I'm like, oh my God, I wish I had like some sort of memory of like that first drink that I can relate with people about. I have no idea. All I know is that when I was drunk, I cared less about what other people thought about me, and I felt more confident. And I felt like I had found a crowd that like was attracted to me and really wanted me to be around. And that's honestly like, for me, it was really a lot of social influence in the beginning. But I was so oblivious and so young that I didn't understand that the drinks I was taking, I keep it in the bottle out of respect for AA, I didn't understand that the drinks that I was taking on such a consistent, regular basis was gonna lead to things like withdrawal. Like, I didn't know that I was gonna like wake up sick, shaking, literally feel like I have the flu every day of my life. And like, I didn't know how dark and deep that this alcoholism was gonna drag me. I was kind of oblivious, to it. So I graduated high school June of 2011, and by August, I remember the date, oddly enough, August 18th of 2011, I was sent to my first rehab. It was awful. The toxic relationships had started at 17 as well, which is a huge part of my story. And the guy, we were robbing houses in order to supply our habit. And like, they had come with a search warrant, and he was living with me at my mom and dad's house, and they flipped the house, and my father, who was like 6'2", almost 400 pounds, 350 to 400 pounds, I'd say, is standing in the attic that like my room was in, and the cops are there, and they're like laying out all the alcohol, all the paraphernalia, everything in front of my father, and he just literally collapsed, like to the ground. They were in such shock, and it's like the cat was out of the bag. August out of high school. So first rehab I went, and I'll tell you guys what, from August of 2011 until December of 2012, my life was so unmanageable. The average person would like see these consequences that had taken place in that short time frame, and would be like very clearly able to identify that they have a problem. I was unable to do that. Step one was by far the hardest step for me. I was in complete denial. My life, my alcoholism got really dark. It looked like, and I'm not proud to like say this, like this is some bad stuff. It looked like being homeless my parents bawling their eyes out, like physically shoving me and throwing me off of their property. Going couch to couch, living in baseball dugouts when the weather's bad, living on some disgusting, sketchy couches just to have a place to put my head, surrounding myself with dangerous people, going to very dangerous areas that I did not belong, being robbed at gunpoint, stealing from the people that I love the most, like stealing my mother's wedding band and pawning it, stealing a ton of rings from my deceased grandmother. And then another grandmother stole her engagement ring from my deceased, and my grandfather had passed away. And then she ended up pressing charges. So it's like, not only was I like stooping that low, but like now I'm like really ruining relationships. My grandmother actually, when I stole the engagement ring, she not only like called the police, which she should have, right? So I got my first like theft misdemeanor. And, but it was like deeper than that. Like me and my brother were the only grandchildren and niece and nephew on my mom's side. So we were like very important and a close-knit family. And like, so my grandmother and my aunt didn't just like cut me off out of their life for 5 years. Like they completely cut my brother, who's like innocent in all this, doesn't even drink, doesn't party, and cut my mom off. And like it didn't, honestly, the past year, it didn't really hit me, the damage I did of like, my mom is watching her daughter basically die, homeless, ruining her life on a daily basis. All she needs is her mom, and like, she doesn't even have that. So like, not only am I stealing, but I'm like ruining relationships for innocent people that are complete victims in all of this. And oh my God, it was just so bad. Like if you had what I wanted, I would take it. I didn't care. All I cared about was just getting my next drink. And that's just the bottom line. So my parents were like, dude, enough is enough. They're like, we're done. You're done. And they're like, so I go into rehab December of 2012, and my mom and dad show up at rehab with $2 in quarters so that I can't like leave with even $2. A generic bottle of shampoo and conditioner. And they're like, happy 20th birthday and early Merry Christmas. You're not welcome like on our street. Like, we went to Al-Anon, like we know what to do with you, like we're done. I'm like, oh, I hate Al-Anon. And so, like I hate this. So like I had like burned a lot of recovery house bridges. Like that's how bad it got. Like recovery houses like in Allentown and like Lansdale, like they didn't even want anything to do with me, you know what I mean? So I had like these two options. It was like this program called Teen Challenge in Buffalo, New York, which is like this, whatever. Or I was like, okay, I could do like a women's like shelter and like whatever. And my roommate in rehab is like, hey, listen, why don't you come live with me in Wilmington, Delaware? My mom feels so bad for you. Like, why don't you come live with me? And I'm like, all right, cool. So like we leave rehab and I move in with this chick, and we end up getting like the Vivitrol shot to like, so I don't drink, right? And I like lose the obsession. So what I found is that like I was just replacing, I had no plan of like doing AA. I only bring this up because something very important happened out of this. So finally my parents let me move home in July. So I moved home. It was like 7 months. They kept their word like as long as they could. And like I ended up moving home. I'm like doing good, sober for the most part, like only partying sometimes, like trying to control it. And I move home and I end up finding out that I'm 24 weeks pregnant. So like my options are adoption or to keep my daughter. And I'm like, oh my God, like this is unreal. Like I'm only, I'm not even 21 yet. Like I just turned 20, just moved back. Like what am I gonna do? And I was like, adoption's definitely the answer, you know, like I'm not ready for this. And my mom and dad are like, no problem, like we'll adopt her and we'll get like grandparents' rights. And this was like my mom and dad's way of being like, we're gonna like make you grow up. Like you need to have this kid to grow up. And I'm like, all right. So obviously I'm not gonna raise this my daughter as thinking I'm like her sister. Like this is weird. So I'm just gonna be mom and I'm just gonna try and do this thing, you know? So I did, but like I failed so miserably, guys. I had no emotional connection with her, and I hate to say this. And my daughter, like, you know, she wants to come hear me speak, but like, I don't want to ever bring this up. If it's a 30-minute speaker meeting, I don't really talk about any of this, but I don't want her to know the depth of it, but I just was so disconnected. And my mom and dad like really like basically raised her, you know, and I was living in the same house as them, and it just got so bad so quick that I ended up like totaling a car, getting a DUI, and it got so bad that in 2017 she was just about to turn 3 and I checked myself into treatment. It ended up being, I went on a bender. It was Christmas Day. I came down to open presents with my daughter, and I opened these presents my mom got me, and I was so, like, when I tell you, like, I was insane. Like I couldn't control any of my emotions. And I like didn't like the present she got me, so I like threw it against the Christmas tree and like knocked the Christmas tree down. It was like this monster, and they're like, we're calling the cops. So it's like Christmas Day, and they're like, you're out, and I am like being arrested and escorted out of the, not arrested, but being handcuffed and like taken out of the house and told like, you need to leave. And you're being detained till you calm down. In front of my 3-year-old daughter. Like that's where me trying to control my drinking took me, right? And me thinking that frothy emotional appeal, thinking that like I would be able, that being a mother was gonna fix it. Like that everything was gonna be better now. It wasn't. My disease has lied to me since I picked up for the first time. So, yeah. Was homeless for a few days. Ended up, Dominic D'Antonio, actually, he's from Doylestown. He picked me up. My dad called him and was like, we need help. She's homeless, we can't find her. And I ended up just like surrendering, and it happened to be New Year's Day. Like, people are like, oh my God, your clean date was January 1st. This time it's like, I did not plan that. I was homeless, and it was like really freaking cold, and it was like, I was done. You know, between Christmas and New Year's Day, that's like a long time to be homeless. Couldn't do it anymore. You know, and drove me to a rehab all the way out in the Poconos. I think it's a men's rehab now, Hillside or whatever. And yeah. And it was like, I knew that I wasn't, and it's like still all this evidence against me. Like, I knew that I needed to get sober. And I knew I needed a change, but I just couldn't wrap my head around this whole like forever long-term abstinence is the goal of AA. Like I could not wrap my head around how I was supposed to live life like a normal person, like sober. Like there's no way. So yeah, but I went into rehab, and like I had the desire to just have no consequences and be able to like, I wanted to like clean up that wreckage that I had just talked about since 17 years old, all that wreckage, and then running to Delaware. Now on top of all the wreckage of having like my parents raising my daughter, and I've got this 3-year-old who's turning 3 while I'm in treatment, and like all this chaos, like I wanted to clean it up, and I wanted to just be done with being that person that was just constantly hurting everybody. Like I had this like remorse, guilt, and shame, but I just like, I thought that there had to be a way that I could like control it in the future. So my motto was like AA for now. And like, I bring this up, like I told you guys, I warned you, this has been a roller coaster, but I bring this up because I'm telling you, God gave me AA in 2017, and if I did not do the 12 steps in 2017 and put together that like, I think it was like 10 and a half months, in 2017, like, I don't think I would be here. Like, and like my higher power knew that even though I wasn't having a first step experience, that I still needed to do a lot of work and at least get a taste of like what this program is. And I bring it up because it's so important to talk about. Like, I owe AA everything, you know? So 2017, I get out of rehab and I'm like, all right, AA for now. I start fellowshipping, I'm meeting people, we're going to meetings, we're chilling, life is good, I'm happy. The obsession's not really there because I'm just like filling it so much with AA. But I knew that like, I knew I was doing the one day at a program time so hard because the minute I would thought about this being forever, it was like, that's when I was like about to walk out. And I had a sponsor at the time, and we're doing the first step, and we're reading like more about alcoholism. And I'm telling her, I'm like, I think it's just certain substances. And I think it's just certain types of liquor. Like, I really don't think I'm the real deal. And what's so sick is like, when people say like that we have a disease, that tells us we don't have a disease, like, it is so, like, that has been my life. Constantly. And I really believed it. All that damage, all that wreckage, I still was just so unable to see the truth for what it was. And she was like, listen, she's like, how about this? How about we just go through the step work and hopefully God will reveal to you the truth about if you're the real deal alcoholic or not. I'm like, let's just keep doing the steps and see if you have an experience. Now, she was right. Like, I had an experience, but I didn't have a first step experience. So, yeah, the 4th step was like life-changing. The idea that like it wasn't my fault was like so, it was just so like outside of my comprehension. Like, to be able to like look at the 4th column and really look at like my part in all these resentments and all this anger that I've carried, it was mind-blowing for me. It was something that I changed my life. AA changes, they say AA changes your drinking. AA not only ruined my drinking after 2017, but it also like completely, I had a spiritual experience in the realm of like perception, the way I viewed things and situations. So I did have a spiritual experience. And the main thing was being able to like really pray for others and to help other women. Like, come to me and be so angry at somebody, and then being able to like really do like the sick man's prayer and break it down with them and have them really like, it was so beautiful. But the main thing is the amends process. So in 2017, when I got to my amends, there was just such a list because there was just so much harm that I caused. You know, I got to make amends to my mom for stealing her like wedding band. I got to make financial amends to so many people, like including like bosses. Like, there was this one boss at a hair salon I worked at. I would just steal out of that drawer, and I like went up to her, and this is years later, and I just handed her like above the estimated amount that I like came up with. I think like my sponsor told me to do like 150 extra. I handed her the cash, and I'm just like, and like she just started crying and like proceeded to ask me if I wanted to like share this like experience of like how getting sober and like making these amends and like sharing it with like the church body that she attended at Morningstar in Quakertown. And the main one was getting to make amends to my grandmother, the one that cut everybody off. So she was willing to have a conversation with me, and my aunt was willing to have a conversation with me, and I sat down and we cried, you know. And I'm telling you guys, she passed away mid-November, November 12th. My friend knew that. Isn't that crazy? That's like AA friends right there. Like, she just worded me the day my grandmother passed away. And I can truly tell you, even though I went back out and didn't stay in AA, like from the day I made my amends to her until the day she passed away, like that woman has not paid for a thing. I bought her, and I'm not looking for a pat on the back, I'm being so serious. Like, I would buy her, stock her fridge with groceries. Every time we go out, I got it. We're going to the movies, I got it. Out to eat, I got it. Oh, we're gonna go on a drive, I'm buying the coffee. Spoiled her for every birthday, every Christmas. I would go to her apartment multiple times a week, clean her apartment for her, sit there, watch TV with her, spend quality time with her. I truly, like, with the amount of guilt and shame around that. And then she was able to rekindle with my brother and my mother as well. So we all had a relationship, and we're there with her when she passed away in November because of AA. Like, if it wasn't for AA, I don't know if I'd be okay. Like, I don't do well with like grief and like knowing I caused harm and then someone passes away. Like, that's a lot to like, that's a lot that weighs on you. I think God knew that I needed AA in 2017 to like make these amends and, you know, make things right. So, yeah, I mean, it was a beautiful experience, but like, I couldn't accept the fact that I was alcoholic, and I thought that I could do medicinal things. I thought I could drink like a little bit of wine, a little bit of beer, whatever. And you know, it wasn't until I just went to rehab a year ago that I was able to really, realize that I have spent like all of this time, all of these years, literally just trying to figure out like the right concoction or the right thing I can drink, or literally just testing this program and trying to figure out how I'm not an alcoholic. And that's what I did when I left in 2017. And it was like, there was moments of, productivity between 2017 and last year. There was moments where things might have looked good on the outside, but if you really look deep down, it was literally all just by the grace of God. And if I'm being real, like, so, okay, so this is like how it got. You know, got a second DUI, totaled a car right before the second DUI, totaled a car a week after the second DUI, driving drunk to pick my daughter up from school. Like, that's what it looked like. Like, literally rear-ending a car that rear-ended a car that rear-ended a car on Broad Street at 3 o'clock hammered on my way to get my daughter from school. Showing up at her parent-teacher conferences, smelling so bad like Jack Daniels that I'm wearing a mask. And it's like the COVID things, like, I shouldn't say it's over, I'm not trying to start, like, whatever, but, like, masks weren't in anymore. So, like, I, like, am walking in with this mask so that hopefully she can't smell the Jack Daniels. Like, at my daughter's parent-teacher conference. Like, it's disgusting, you know? When I tell you I drove drunk all the time, I mean literally until I got that freaking blower in my car, I drove drunk all the time. Oh my God, so much. Ruining her birthday parties. So like here I am, like I'm going to college. I got my apartment, my daughter lives with me, right? And I'm like mom now, right? 2017, I had this experience, like I get my own place and like, I think I can drink like normal people, and then I'm on my own living with my daughter, and it's like, to the outside, everybody's like, dude, Steph's killing it. She's like working, paying all her bills, going to Kutztown. Like, no, I'm drunk for all of it. And my daughter sees me drunk every day. And it's literally just a matter of time before it, you know, stuff hits the fan. And, you know, I can remember leaving a girlfriend's house the one night. This is like so messed up. It was like probably 9:30 or something, and I'm so drunk, jamming out to music, and I almost pull in front of a car on Cherry Road. And like it would have like potentially killed us, but I remember being like, oh my God, I gotta stop drinking and driving with her. You know? Driving drunk to Kutztown every day, drinking in between classes, going into the bathroom to drink during classes, while I'm in school learning about how to like run self-help groups, because my major was social work. So I'm like literally in a group therapy class about how to teach a bunch of people how to not drink. And I'm getting hammered in the bathroom. Like I couldn't even get through class without drinking. It was really bad. Ruining my daughter's birthday party, getting a physical altercation with my dad. She still remembers that to this day. Main thing is the way I the kind of parent that I turn into when I'm not sober. And it's really hard for me to talk about it because it is embarrassing. But I think it's important because guess what? There could be some sort of mom listening to this recording or someone in here who's felt this way. Like, I was a really bad mom. Like, I would fly off the handle over everything, you know? Like, she would drop something in the kitchen or make a mess, and it's like, what the heck? And like, throwing stuff and screaming and like not able to handle anything and just mentally, emotionally, verbally, sometimes physically just abusive and just such a POS to my daughter when kids are literally born like they get what they get. And like I couldn't even give her a day sober. You know? Yeah, she had everything she wanted, but she didn't care. She was miserable. Right before I went into treatment, she had like emergency like words that she would text my mom so that I wouldn't like know, or like that meant like, come get me now, mom's really hammered and like unable to take care of me. She would tell me, Mom, I need a break from you. You're driving me nuts. I'm going to Nana's for a couple days. It just got so bad. When I was on the house arrest for the second DUI, like this, again, I didn't even think about this until like throughout this past year. Like literally, all I had to do was not drink on house arrest. Like you have a freaking ankle monitor on, your job is to not drink. If you drink, they send you to Bucks to finish your 90-day sentence, okay? I am in my internship for college. My daughter lives with me. Who's gonna pay the bills if I go to jail, right? I literally can't stop drinking on house arrest. The obsession was so bad. Like I can remember pacing the kitchen and like my living room like a psycho. Literally just like, I know I shouldn't do this, but I'm gonna do it. And then like Googling how to do it. And like, then I do it. And then I'm up all night on Reddit. Like, how do I not get caught if the PO comes tomorrow? And then I'm gargling mouth, hydrogen peroxide, and I'm like, all just to like scratch the itch. Like that's a freaking alcoholic. Like it's like, I don't know what is wrong with me. Like I couldn't even admit it. And it wasn't even until, and like I talk about like there was bottoms like going into rehab like in 2017, that bottom, right? Being homeless, Christmas to New Year's Day. That's a really bad bottom. But like this bottom this time wasn't like, it was just it was like a suicidal bottom. Like I didn't want to be here anymore. Like my bottom looked like, I share this is so important. I've said it, I'll always share this. I really believed in my innermost being that my daughter was better off without me as her mother. I was doing her a disservice by continuing to even be around anymore. My parents better off with me dead. My brother been better off without his sister. Like I am a selfish person for even continuing to live. And like not being able to shower, not being able to get out of bed, not being able to show up at either job, unable to even use the degree that I just earned. Like, really bad. And it was like, I knew that if I didn't put myself in rehab, even though I felt like rehab wasn't the place, because I'm not homeless. My bills are still paid. I have clothes. I didn't lose custody. I have my jobs. But I knew that I was going to lose it all because I was unable to function. And I knew that I was unable to not go pick up the next one. I was unable to not go to the liquor store or to the neighbor's house or to down the street. I was unable to say no. And I knew I had to be put away, locked away, and forced sober. And when I walked into treatment, my goal was to go there for like a week, sober up, get befogged, and I'll be fine. I can still do like certain medications and things like, I'll do AA for now to get my head together. But when I walked into treatment, I still was not able to admit that this was a forever thing. Like I'm so stubborn. So I walk into rehab and I'm like, yeah, this is I can at least do medical marijuana or whatever when I get out of here. Like that'll be fine. Like that's normal. Everybody does that. So like I walk into treatment and like I hit my knees and I start like having honest, open conversation with my higher power. And I'm just like, how do I do this? Like, I don't want to be a bad mom anymore. I don't want to be a bad daughter anymore. I want to show up. I want to not want to drink. I want to be able to like just not try and figure out how I can drink. I just want to be like those people in AA that like don't even want to drink anymore. Like that's what I want. And I would pray, and something happened while I was in treatment. A huge God shot is like we were able to walk around like the rehab, like to do like exercise, and I was like all about that in there. And I was at a rehab an hour away from Quakertown, so and obviously I'm not able to like text my dad and be like, hey, are you close? So they showed up at the rehab to drop off more stuff to me at the same exact moment. They're like walking to the front door that I'm like doing the lap, so I can like see my dad like walking across the parking lot with my stuff, and he looked so just like broken. He was like walking slower. His back must have hurt that day. He just was like, looked old. And I was like, and I just like had this like emotional, I was bawling my eyes out. Like ran up to him and gave him a hug. I didn't even care if they thought I was trying to, you're not really supposed to touch, I guess, outside people, but I didn't care, and gave him a huge hug, and I'm like, I'm so sorry, like I don't want to do this to you guys anymore. And I just was like, I refuse to bury my parents putting them through this. Enough is enough. And I know that I can't get sober because of those things. I'd already talked about that. But I do know that once I like started to talk to God about that kind of stuff and like share about my fear of like burying my parents, putting them through this living hell, that like things started to change. So once I started to talk to God, things started to change. I ended up staying in rehab for 3 weeks. I got out of rehab, and while I was in rehab, I called my sponsor and I said, hey, what do you want me to do in rehab? You want me to start working on maybe a 4-step or something? And she's like, no. She's like, I want you to focus on step 1. Like, look at your disease and study your disease and look at like where it's taken you thus far. And I had like a 1st-step experience for the first time. I was able to, for the first time, not really like see the consequences, like I always knew the consequences, but I was able to see the delusion. I was able to see the pattern of like me trying to manage it and trying to figure out how I can just not have to like, you know, give my all to AA. I called my mom from the phone at rehab and I go, I'm going to AA and I'm gonna change my life, like I'm done. Like I'm going to AA and I'm gonna do this thing. And I was like, my goal is to do long-term sobriety. And my mom got super emotional on the phone. She's crying and she's like, oh my God, this is all I've ever wanted. All these years, you've always said to me, Mom, I'm gonna do AA for now. And she's like, and every time I heard the for now, I knew that eventually it was gonna come where you were gonna relapse and you were gonna try to do this thing on your own. The idea that you didn't say that, like it meant the world to her. And like, honestly, life has gotten so good since then. I mean, like, obviously, like, it hasn't been a perfect year. Like, there's been days where I've literally obsessed. I've had the obsession. But I will say that, like, it's crazy because, like, if I just stay on all 3 sides of the triangle, the obsession goes away, and I find my purpose. And I've been doing all 3 of those things. I have been actively in service since I got sober. I have a home group. It's a big book study. My sponsor told me to get involved into a big book study because she got sober doing a extensive like big book study with the steps or whatever. So I made one my home group. I started surrounding myself with people who are sober. I always use the excuse, oh my God, there's nobody that I can relate with or vibe with in AA because they're just kind of corny, no offense. And I walked into AA like this time like with a different perspective. Like the way I viewed it was, if you don't find people to vibe with in AA and fellowship with, like you will use that as an excuse to go back out, and if you go back out, you will die. Like, find people to find. Pray and ask God, hey, can you please put women in my path to like have a close relationship with? And that's exactly what he did. In fact, I couldn't go without talking to a girlfriend right now if I wanted to. They're blowing me off all the time. I'm in a group chat, I love them to death. They're around my daughter, they're around my parents, they're around on holidays. They check in on me all the time. Like, there is never a reason that I don't have somebody that I can reach out to help me, and like, they are genuine friends. Like, when my grandmother was in the nursing home at the end and almost died, I had a girlfriend literally work in the same nursing home, would go in there, check in on her every day, get her snacks, make sure she was okay, call. That's like what friends in AA do. Showed up at my grandmother's funeral. On my birthday, they're buying, like, not that gifts mean anything, but like, little stuff. Like, when it was my birthday before, I could barely get my friends to buy me a shot at the bar. It's crazy. And so like, so that's like amazing. And honestly, my mom and dad are just so overfilled with joy. It's like, they're just like, it's like a huge weight's just been lifted. Like, I think for a long time they might have blamed themselves for the reason why I was the way I was, you know, and that's just bull crap. It had nothing to do with them. My mom and dad know that when I'm around, I bring joy. The big book talks about how we will ruin we will get tied up at the exact worst time, whatever, I'm not going to go verbatim. Okay, we would get messed up at the worst times. That was me. I would get hammered and ruin every holiday, every birthday, every vacation. I would be off the walls, ruining everything all the time. This past year, all holidays were good. I mean, I got sober in February. Spring, summer, winter, fall. It's all been good. There hasn't been one bad birthday. My mom has thanked me after every single one. Labor Day weekend. Thank you so much. Thank you for an amazing Mother's Day. Thank you for an amazing Thanksgiving, amazing Christmas. You know, like, and the main thing is like my kid, you know, my daughter. Oh, she's so amazing. I love her so much, and she's just such a fierce, sassy little queen, and I'll tell you what, she loves AA. Like, she loves this fellowship just as much as I do because she knows what this fellowship has done for her mommy this past year, and it's mind-blowing. Her grades, when I went into rehab this time last year for the third quarter, were like really bad, and I had to get called in. I forgot about this. I was just talking about it today. Got called in for a parent-teacher conference right when I got out of rehab. She had been lying, not handing in work, whatever. I haven't gotten called in for one parent-teacher conference this year. Her behavior has been phenomenal, knock on wood. She is so proud of, like, she wants to see me get my coins. She loves that she has a mom that, like, we read a devotional before bed. We pray every night, we pray every morning. She knows that what has gone down here is a direct result of AA and God's grace. There is no more emergency code words. She's at her dad's this weekend, but let me tell you, in Delaware. And let me tell you, if I go to a meeting and I'm like, you know, Nana wants to have like a sleepover, she like has one sleepover a week at my mom's house, but like if it's like I need to go to another meeting this week, whatever, she'll text me and be like, I want to be with you. She doesn't need a break she has not needed a break from me one time in the past year. There have been times where I've raised my voice with her out of strict, like, trying to be a mom, but there has been not one extreme emotional psychotic blow up in the past year, and that is like the honest to God's truth. The person that walked into AA this time last year is a completely different person than who's standing in front of you right now. And I'm not like saying that I'm great, but I was just really bad. You know, and I don't really know why. Like, you know, I don't really know why I've been given this grace. But I do know, and I share this because I've had this wasn't like an organic thought. Like, I thought I actually like was like, wow, like all this experience, the least I can do is use this experience to help like God's children. Like how selfish would it be for me to like have gone through everything we just talked about, all that pain and that misery and all the hell I put my family and friends through, that like incomprehensible demoralization, just to not like give it away. Like, and I feel like God's just like been waiting for me to just like have this experience to give me the life that he's always wanted. And like, I don't mean like, you know, like a nice car, a huge house, all of that, but just like peace and serenity and like the relationships. Like, you know, being able to one day like take care of my mom and dad when it's their turn. And they would have been here tonight. They wanted to come so bad. They brought me to this meeting back in like 2011. And they remember this meeting because they remember. It was just like, and they thought this was a big deal, but the roads were bad. And like, they're just amazing. Being able to put them to rest one day, knowing that like what I went through wasn't just for nothing. It was like to like give back to this program. Everybody in my life that's not even an alcoholic loves AA. My brother's not an alcoholic, he loves AA. Everybody in my life knows that the only time Steph is freaking half normal is when she's in AA. Or in rehab, and even then's debatable. And like, they're just like, thank God, you know what I mean? There's still some like damage control that needs to be done with my brother. Like right now there's this viral thing going around, and it's like, it's like text your brother random updates on your day and see how he reacts. So like, because it's like weird, right? So I'm like, oh my God, me and my sister-in-law are like, let's do this with your brother. So I'm like, hey Jake, I just woke up. I just dropped Lily off at school. I just got home logging into work. And he's like, are you okay? And like normally, like these are funny. He ends up calling my sister-in-law and is like, dude, she's drunk. Something's wrong with her. I think she relapsed. It's like, I can't really like, so there's still like some damage control. And I had to call him and like make amends and be like, yo man, I was just trying to be funny. Like I am sober, I swear. There's this viral thing. I sent him like an example video and he's like, okay. But like, he thought I was drunk. But like, so life is really good. I know for a fact that if I just stay sober one day at a time, I will continue to be a wonderful mother, daughter, and member of AA. Being in service and my daily communication with God and the fellowship is the only reason I got here. And that's just the honest God's truth. I'm super blessed. I'm almost at the hour, like by 5 minutes. So I think I'm just gonna finish it up. But I appreciate you guys so much. Thanks.
Okay, again, my name's Brian. I'm an alcoholic. First and foremost, the group would like to thank Steph for coming out here tonight, delivering an incredible message of hope and recovery to our group here. A couple quick announcements and we'll close it down. As was mentioned before the meeting, we have food and fellowship every week here at 8 o'clock, so feel free to show up early, enjoy the coffee, the donuts, the food we put out. If you want to get involved in service with this group, we'd appreciate it. This group is all about service. We have a running commitment every Sunday night up in Quakertown there. We bring a meeting into a treatment center up there, so if that's something you'd be interested in doing, we might not be going up there tomorrow. You know, not sure yet. Last year they canceled on it. They told us not to come up on Super Bowl Sunday, but like I said, it's a running commitment every Sunday night. We're always looking for different people to get up there, so if you'd be interested in doing that, see me, see Ron, you know, we can set you up to come up there. If you want to help out with some service after the meeting, we could always use help putting the chairs away. It's customary for us to thank our speakers as they do come here on their own time and expense. So usually we will form a line in the front here and we'll thank our speakers personally. Thanks to everybody for helping out with the meeting tonight, our greeters, our readers, and most importantly, let's thank our speaker, Steph. If you do care to join us, we will close down the meeting with the Eagles fight song. Just kidding. Yeah, we circle up usually if you care to join us. we will close down the meeting, as always, with a brief moment of silence for the still sick and suffering alcoholic inside and outside these rooms, followed by our Lord's Prayer. Our Father,
Give us this day